obviously it's interesting to know what's going on, what changes are going on, even while we're learning French. And that's, there's just so much going on at the moment in education. So la politique actuelle is the current policies. And you can see here pictures of Emmanuel Macron, Président. And he came in as part of his manifesto. He said that he was going to do lots to do with schools, which is why we've got a lot of changes. And here you've got Jean-Michel Blanquer, who is the Minister for Education. So you get to know their names quite well when you're looking into politics. So when he came in, his manifesto for being elected, he talked about having une école pour une école qui garantisse la réussite de tous et l'excellence de chacun. So he wanted to make it so that more people would succeed and that there would be excellence. So it's the sort of strapline that you would expect from a lot of people, I suppose. And if you click on the link that I've put in the PowerPoint, then you can go and you can see what the things were that he said he was going to do. So and his party was called En Marche. En Marche. And so it goes on quite a long time about what his objectives were, but I've got a little summary coming up now. Here we go. This was actually put together. Somebody did a blog saying what were the promises that he made. So at some point you could go through, perhaps as a little reading comprehension, and see all the things that he said he was going to do. And if you go onto the site, the education site, one bit is something called La Loi pour une école de la confiance. And this I've translated as the law for a school you can trust. The law for a school of the trust. So this was promulgué au journal officiel le 28 juillet 2019. So that's when it was passed in 28th of July 2019. And what does it say? Abaissement de l'instruction obligatoire à l'âge de 3 ans. So lowering the compulsory age of education to 3. Obligation de formation jusqu'à l'âge de 18 ans. So it's compulsory that you have some form of training up until you are 18. And création d'un service public de l'école inclusive. So there was a lot of concern about some people not being able to cope because their special needs were not being catered for. And if you click on that link, you'll see even more detail about that. Also within the site, there are the main things that they're doing. There are particularly 12 changes, which I've got listed here. So if we zip through them, they really wanted to make sure that primary schools had a priority, the idea being that they need to be looked after. Slackening of the hours. The French system is known to have a massive pace of loads and loads of hours, and so the idea was that people can relax those a little bit, so a bit more literally supple, a bit more flexible and enriched. Putting into this program devoir faire. Devoir means homework. So the idea was that each school can make sure that there's someone there to oversee people if they need to have their homework done. Évaluation pour aider au progrès des élèves, so more tests to check on people's progress. Priorité aux élèves en situation de handicap, so priority to those with special needs. Making sure that the schools are secure, making the budget greater. This is interesting. La rentrée 2017 s'est fait en musique, so they had music playing as they went back. The idea that we're going to celebrate going back to school, you want to go there. Le renforcement du baccalauréat, so reinforcing this final exam, we'll look at that. Le renouvellement de la voie professionnelle, renewing the vocational route, and une attention particulière à la ruralité, so really paying attention to the needs of those people who were not living in built-up areas. So on the government site, and remember it is a site which the government is running, if you put in and search for éducation nationale et jeunesse, éducation and prime supérieure, then you'll get these subjects. Now, if you want to know whether the French government has done any of the things that it's promised, you can go to this area, which is on their general site for the government, Les actions du gouvernement, and you can click on the things that you want to look at. So if I want to look at what's going on with Éducation nationale et jeunesse, and also enseignement supérieur. I can click both of those, afficher ma sélection, and then they will tell me what the things are that are in their plans. And by clicking on it, you can see how far they got. So they said they wanted to make sure that they would get help for homework. We click on there, and c'est décidé, it's decided, c'est en cours, it's in the process, c'est appliqué, it's applied. So as far as they're concerned, what they promised is actually happening. So what's changed is that there'll be someone overseeing their homework. That's the reason they did it, because, you know, there's inequality. Some people could work at home, some couldn't. And who is it for? It's actually for everybody who wants it. À toutes les familles et tous les collégiens qui le souhaitent. And that's where it's telling you where they're up to as far as delivering it. As I said before, the health warning is that is obviously written by the government to give, well, probably the truth, but, you know, let's say a positive spin. I think it's worthwhile always looking, obviously, at other sources as well, and that's where Wikipedia can be an up-to-date source. You've just got to be aware that there may be some limitations. But if you look up the Loi pour une école de la confiance, you can see an opposing view here. And this is the view of someone who's decided that whereas it's meant to be making people more equal, making people have more access, her idea is that in fact it's a more competitive model where people are having to be against each other. And the other big thing was the fact that they were changing the way in which the system was evaluated. And at the moment, this person is very upset that there's a suppression of any independent structure to evaluate just how efficient these reforms are. So as I've said here, do check other sources if you want to get opinions